first, right now we're living in an age where we don't know if we're going to be NTI or in person for how long. So this is effective for both. And in-person school is going to look so different. This is also a great way to keep the kids social distance, but still be able to work with a partner and comment back and forth to each other. It allows those relationships. When the kids are at home, we still get to see their faces, they get to see ours. Kids love technology. They're better at it than we are. We need to let them be teachers to us. I learn so much every year from my kids. They're like, Miss Sullenbarger, did you know it did this? And I'm like, well, no. So I learn every year from them. A technology, especially FlipGrid, it encourages individuality and collaboration, and it lets those kids be creative.
It's a little safer than having them post on YouTube or something.
Much. And one of my favorite parts is how quick and easy the effective feedback is for teachers.
So we've got a couple examples. Mom's going to show a content-related FlipGrid, and I'm going to show some FlipGrids that I use to build relationships with students during student teaching.
I use FlipGrid for many different reasons. Since I'm going over content, you know, for math class, FlipGrid is great for the kids to do a problem, but then to be able to explain why they did what they did, to explain their thinking. We know so often in math, kids can do the procedures, but they don't know why they're doing it. So that's a good way for us to check in with kids, especially struggling students, to know, do I understand what I'm doing? For writing, the one I'm going to show you all is I had did an opinion commenting. So I had asked them, you know, you have to persuade me. Should we have assigned seats in class or not have assigned seats? And this was actually the first week of school. And I just let them get on there and talk it out. Then I made a mixtape. So the cool thing is about the mixtape is I have 125 fourth graders. Well, I can't show 125 good videos. I can't even show 20 good videos. But I also don't want to sit there with all my screen covered in videos and try to go through and find Noah's picture. So instead, FlipGrid offers a great way to do a mixtape. I just chose 3, and this is one I already made. I'll show you that later. But you hit play, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you can see it would go through Mila's, then it goes to Noah's, then it goes to the next students. So I can show the kids 3 great examples, and it's right there done for me because I took the time while I was at home watching the Golden Girls to make this mixtape.
All right, and I'm going to show a few here. I've got quite a few grids on here. My experience with NTI was we had just switched student teaching placements. I was just switched to 2nd grade. I had not even 2 weeks with the kiddos, and then we went to NTI, so I still really wanted to form relationships with those students. So I did all kinds of grids, such as show us your pets, show us a room tour. They showed us their creations, outdoor activities, etc., etc. They had a lot of fun with these. So I'll show you the show us your pets. We'll show you some features later where I could have even just done a grid called Fun FlipGrids and then had different topics. So I use that to reach students, create some relationships, and if we do end up not being in person when school starts, that'd be a really good way to get to know your kiddos. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of how do I create my own FlipGrid. And I'm going to do this by creating a grid for us to respond to. So I'm going to go to flipgrid.com. Personally, as the educator, I like to use it on my laptop or Chromebook better. But for the students, an iPad, an iPhone, anything works fine. And I do want to mention, forgot to mention this, I have 2 videos. One's for educators, one's for the kiddos. The educator video is a quick overview of how to use FlipGrid, how to set up those grids, etc. And then the for kiddos, Mom's pasted both of these in the chat. But the for kiddos link, I sent that to my kids on how to use FlipGrid whenever we did NTI. So it's a good how-to for them. So we're going to create a grid with 2 different topics. Mom and I have really talked about if we do NTI, what are we going to do? How are we going to have a schedule, have a little bit of normalcy, not gain 20 pounds, etc. So
yeah, because we just lost all that weight we had gained. I don't know about you all, but oh my gosh, it was bad.
So our first topic under our Tech Summit is going to be, what is a tip you'd like to give other teachers using NTI? What was your schedule like? Tips or hacks for NTI? And or what are you most looking forward to about going back to in-person classes? So I'll go ahead and give you guys some time to think on that while I create the grid, and you can follow along with me. So if you're new to FlipGrid, go to Educator Sign Up. I'm just going to log in. It's usually easiest if you just log in with your school account.
Yeah, it remembers the password for you, and I'm all about that. Never having to remember passwords.
You can use Gmail. I think you can use Microsoft too.
And I just sent those 2 links for the YouTube videos Hallee made for you and for students. And I also sent the link for our slideshow today.
Yes. Okay. So as you can see, we presented earlier, so I have a Tech Summit already. But under my grid up here, I'm going to go to Add New Grid, and I'm going to call this Tech Summit 2. And then you have 3 different options for the grid type. You can have the school email, student ID, or just it be anyone who has the link. I usually choose school email, and I taught my kids how to log in with their school email. It just keeps it a little safer where random people can't get onto the grid. Do make sure you add the @stu.pardon for your kiddos.
Because if you don't, then they'll all say, we can't get in. And then you'll have to go back and fix it, and that's a pain.
Yes, and we do have it set up like this, so whenever you go to post your video, make sure you're using your Hardin County login. All right, and then I can copy and paste the grid, but I'm going to go ahead and go to my grid first. There's always a default topic just to say hello. I'm going to add 2 new topics. Can you pull up our 2 different titles?
Yeah, and it's good if you have a grid where you can enter different topics, because that gives the kids choice. You want them to be able to have a choice in what they talk about sometimes. You know, sometimes we need them just to talk about, well, I need you to know how you solve this math problem. But sometimes it's really nice for them to go in and have a choice, because we know when we give them choice, they're more engaged. So for selfish reasons, we are giving you 2 choices. We're giving you the first one for selfish reasons because we want to know, when we did NTI, what was your schedule like? What was your favorite thing? What was the game changer? Because we want to know, because we know we could be NTI some this year. There's a good chance we'll be in and out of school. So we want to know how you were successful, because we want to steal your ideas.
And then down here you can choose recording time. You can do as little as 15 seconds or as much as 10 minutes. We said for elementary, usually 1 minute is a pretty safe time limit. But you know, if you're in high school or something and you have a speech or anything like that, this would be a good option.
Yeah, I agree. For high school during NTI, they used FlipGrid. She was doing public speaking, and they did 10-minute public speaking videos and got to watch each other. And that was awesome to see her class doing all these videos, debating and giving their opinions. I enjoyed watching those. Our second topic is, if you'd rather not do the NTI one, maybe you didn't like anything about it and it was a stressful time, what are you looking forward to most about going back to school? So you're going to have a choice to respond to one of those.
And another feature right here, video moderation. You can turn that on and then ask the teacher, you can approve videos before they're shown on the grid. And here you can copy the link to each individual topic, but I'm just going to share the link for the entire grid, and then that way you guys can flip through and choose which one you'd like to use. So that is going in the chat now. If you guys have any questions, we'll be on chat. We can answer questions verbally, but we'll give you guys about 5 minutes or so. Just mute your mics, go to another room, whatever, and make those flip grids. And we'll show you how to do some other stuff with your flip grids once you all do that.
Go in here and make one be disputed. What do we say? About 5 minutes?
Yes. Okay, if you didn't have enough time to do that, A-okay, just kind of wanted you guys to see from the kiddos' perspective what it's going to look like. But we're going to keep moving on. Mom's going to talk about how else we can use FlipGrid.
Okay, so I showed you all a mixtape that I had made of my students, but I kind of want to show you how you would do that. So here's our grid, and then we have in-person and we have NTI. So Hallie's going to click on one of them. And usually, you know, you're going to have, if you do one grid for your entire 4th grade or for your entire high school group, you're going to have maybe 100 or more on there. I like to do it by class. That way I could show block 1 their good examples, like 3 from their actual room they're in. So what you would do to do that, it's pretty simple, is you just go to actions and then you would go down to add to mixtapes. So we could go ahead and title that Summit, Tech Summit 2. And Matt's video is now on our mixtape because Matt did such a good job. We can do a password if you want to. You don't have to, because I show these whole group usually, but you can do a password where the kids would have to have that to see it. Okay, and then we would go and we'd say, oh, Adam or Jen Ford did such a great job. We're going to add her to the mixtape. So that's all you do is now you click on that Tech Summit 2 and add it. So you can add as many videos as you want. I usually do 3 to 5 according to how long they are, just because you don't want the student sitting there too long. So that's one way to do that. That was a game changer for me, to get that ready the night before instead of having to pull up, 100 videos and trying to remember which kids to click on. The next thing is the disco library.
Should we show them how to access the mixtape?
Oh yeah, we'll show you how to access the mixtape.
So we were at grids, and then you just go to mixtapes. And then usually if you want to share it with kids to play it, whatever. And we showed you earlier how it works, how it'll play through, so we don't have to do all that.
And like I said, I just show them in class.
Okay.
Okay, and then the disco library, this is your FlipGrid resource for maybe you need an idea for how you can use FlipGrid as a math teacher. So maybe you'll put in there long division FlipGrids and you'll search that. Maybe you're wanting your high school students to do a debate. So you put in there debates on the coronavirus, because there's a lot of debating going on, right? We know that all over social media. So you would find that, you would make sure you go to your age group, whatever that is. If it's NTI and you're like, what can I do to connect with these kids? I only saw them in class for a week. How can I connect? Well, go ahead and search, making connections at home. And there are hundreds and hundreds. And the really nice thing is about the disco library, it's just anyone cannot add. You make your FlipGrid, you submit it to the FlipGrid people, and they have to approve it. So not everything submitted gets put on the disco library. So that's also a good thing about it.
And if you use one of these topics, it's kind of like on Google. If you make a copy, it's your own grid. Your kids aren't going through thousands of different FlipGrids. There's a ton of, would you rather, weekly check-ins, fun stuff on here too.
Yeah.
All right.
And then last was effective feedback. What I love about FlipGrid too is when you are in there as the teacher and you have your grids. So I'll go to the Tech Summit. If I'm sitting at home on my computer, which we know that's what we do a lot of time at night, because I can't work out his computer because it's an Apple computer and that is out of my world for some reason. So if I wanted to respond to Bella, then I would just make a video. So once it plays, it's going to come back up and it's going to allow me to give her feedback through a video. So right now, it's really weird, but I would be able to tell Bella, whatever I need to tell her about how great she did, what she needs to improve upon, maybe give her some more ideas to explore. I can also type in feedback for her over here in the comment section, or I can have a rubric for her. So I can have a scoring rubric that the kids see before they make their video, and they will know what I'm grading them on. So it may just be a 10-point assignment. And so I love the 3 options for feedback because we know how important that is as a teacher for kids to learn.
All right. So now it's your turn. We're going to give you guys some time to play around with FlipGrid. We thought maybe this would be a good time to make 2 grids, one that can apply to in-person instruction and one that you can use during NTI. And there's a lot that you can probably make that can apply to both. But just kind of play around with it, make a grid, add some sections. If you have any questions, just unmute your mic and shout at us, or
type it in the
chat. We'll be here. And I'm just going to leave up the how to use FlipGrid recap in case anyone needs that. But have at it, have some.
And you're welcome too to share out in the chat or in person what are some ways you've used FlipGrid at different age levels. We teach elementary, but I mean, I know Ivory being in high school, she used FlipGrid a lot during NTI. So I know it's a valuable resource for middle and high school as well.